Let's look at this sentence. Students should not be allowed to use mobile phones in school because phones distract them from learning. Is that a fact or an opinion? Take a second to lock in your answer. If you guessed fact, you fell into a very common trap. The sentence sounds incredibly confident, but confidence is not evidence. Simply saying something forcefully does not turn an opinion into a verifiable fact. Look at how this sentence actually breaks apart. The first half, students should not be allowed, is a viewpoint, stating what the writer thinks should happen. The second half, because phones distract students, is a claim. It provides a reason that might be supported by evidence later, but it remains an unsupported statement. Now, consider this statement. The school introduced a rule requiring students to keep their phones switched off during lessons. Unlike our first example, this can be verified. To test it, run it through the verification test.
Did the school introduce this rule? Yes or no? You can check the official school notice or the calendar to see when it happened. If you can look it up and physically prove it happened, it is a fact. Realizing that confidence is not evidence is the first step toward better analysis. To write bulletproof essays, you need to look right through the words on the page and understand their underlying architecture. This infographic outlines the opinion zone. When we step away from objective facts, writing becomes subjective. But subjective writing is made of 3 distinct layers that perform very different jobs. The first layer is preference. If someone says, "I prefer keeping my phone with me," they are stating a personal choice. It requires no proof to be valid. A viewpoint is much broader. If a writer says, "Students should be allowed to use phones," they're issuing a directive, telling the world what they believe should happen. Then we have judgment. This is a qualitative assessment, recognizable by specific vibe check words. If a writer calls a rule unfair, unnecessary, or excellent, they are making a judgment. By identifying these specific subjective layers, you can see exactly how a writer is trying to convince you. This clarity prevents you from being swayed by emotional language. This flowchart shows the structure of a logical argument. A writer makes a high-level claim, like the phone restriction is useful. When you ask why, they provide a reason, because students are less distracted. But reasons require support to be effective. The entire argument needs an objective anchor. If they add, teachers reported fewer interruptions after the rule was introduced, they have provided concrete evidence. This staircase diagram shows the next step, interpretation. The raw evidence is the drop in interruptions. A writer might draw meaning from that by saying, "This suggests the restriction may have improved classroom concentration." The word may signals that the writer is now drawing a logical conclusion from the data. Writers also apply their own attitude. Attitude acts as a lens. 2 people can look at the exact same phone rule and express entirely different emotional vibes, one being cautiously supportive, the other being critical. Let's test these skills. Look at these 4 statements about school phone rules. Pause the video and categorize each one as a fact, a preference, a judgment, or a viewpoint. Let's check the results. The first is a fact because you can verify the date. The second is a judgment, identified by the word unnecessary. The third is a personal choice, making it a preference. The last one states exactly what the writer believes should happen, which is a viewpoint. Measuring the distance between a piece of evidence and a writer's conclusion allows you to evaluate the logic before you decide to agree with it. This diagram is your master blueprint. It shows how one single fact about restricting phones can be unpacked into 8 distinct analytical angles, creating a complex web of logic and opinion. A source text provides the framework for your own response. By deconstructing the writer's reasoning, you can find new angles, like questioning whether a phone is a distraction or a tool that simply requires better instruction. This is the FACIT mnemonic, your mental checklist. Fact, can I verify it? Attitude, how does the writer feel? Claim, what is their stance? Evidence, where are the receipts? Interpretation, what conclusion is drawn? And finally, thinking, what does this make me think? Use this blueprint to analyze the logic of your next assignment. If this guide helped you decode the text,
Hit like and subscribe for more strategies to sharpen your analytical writing. Mastering the architecture of someone else's argument provides the blueprint for your own. Analyzing how others construct their claims gives you the tools to engineer a convincing voice of your own.